Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Today I'm going to share with you 5 cards using the Simon Says Stamp Thankful Flowers October card kit. And I'm just going to kind of quickly run through the card kit contents here. I'm sure you've seen some unboxings, so I won't spend a whole lot of time on this. I'll just kind of quickly flip through everything that you get this month. It's a great kit, beautiful sentiments, beautiful flowers. But I wanted to let you know I only did 5 cards for 2 reasons. One is it's very florally, and you know me, I'm not super great with flowers. And 2 is I'm really overbooked this month on trying to get a whole bunch of different projects finished. I'm trying to make a quilt for my friend, and I've never made a quilt before, and that is taking up a lot of my time along with my regular design team projects. So I apologize for only having 5 cards for you this month, but hopefully there are 5 interesting cards that maybe you haven't seen before. So I'm going to get started with card number 1, which is my favorite. So for this one, I made 2 background panels. So I used a Unity stamp background, little stamp right there for the center, and then I used the little dots that came in the stamp set from Simon Says to create all those little dots around it. I used the same colors in that panel as I did in this one right here. The only difference is this is watercolor paper, and I did some ink smushing with the let's see, fossilized amber, ripe persimmon, and fired brick. And then I did some gold flecks in it as well. And that's what I'm creating my flowers from. And now I'm going to place down my thanks, which, by the way, I love this die. You guys are going to love this die. This is going in my everyday die pile. So I cut that out 3 times from black cardstock and layered them on top of each other. And now I'm just using everything kind of like placeholders for the big sentiment that I'm going to stamp underneath the thanks. This stamp set came with some really, really nice sentiments in it for both inside and outside of your card. So this is a great one to have on hand. So I'm going to stamp this down with my VersaFine Onyx Black ink. It's the I Can't Thank You Enough, Thank You, Thank You, Thank You. I'm going to place that on a black card base. Now I'm going to glue down the thanks. And then I'm going to pop up the big flower in the center. And then I'm going to just place the other 2 behind the big flower in the middle. And I did do a little stamp surgery. I know everybody freaks out about stamp surgery, but you can put them back together. And it actually worked out really well because of a card that I made later where I needed that stem with the leaves to go in different directions. So stamp surgery sometimes is a good thing. I'm going to use my copper stickles, give it a little shiny centers, and that's going to complete card number 1. Here's a close-up of this one. For card number 2, I'm going to use my embossing ink, and I'm pretty sure that that's watercolor paper. And I used the embossing ink is copper blush, and then I cut out thanks from the copper paper that came in our kit. There was a rose gold and a copper color. And now I'm going to use my distress inks to watercolor in my flowers. And I'm going to speed this way up because I left it all in there. And the only thing I did was I did come back and do it twice. So that way I could add in like the shading. Because the first time around it's real light. But then I took it away, dried it, and then I came back and I went over it again to give it some shading with each one of those colors. And you'll see that here in a second. So now it's going to go away. It's magically going to come back really dark because I did, like I said, all the shading the second time around. Now I'm going to cut that out with my embossed edge die. I'll leave links to all the products that I use that are not a part of the kit underneath the video if you would like them. Now we're going to place this on some of the brown cardstock that I'm using as a card base. I made a couple of little mistakes, so I'm going to use the sand eraser, get rid of my mistakes. I love this thing. Finally picked one up. And these are the dots. So I use these on the first card all over the place, and now I'm going to use them on this one. I'm using the same colors that I used in the coloring of the flowers. And it's shabby shutters, and I think that's Victorian velvet. I'm just going to place some dots strategically around. The purple on there, I think, is the preserves color. Now I'm going to place my thanks right there, kind of off to the middle side there, and then I'm going to go through with some diamond stickles and put them in the centers of each one of the flowers. And for the last little extra, I'm going to put some sparkling droplets. One of my favorite things to add to the cards are these sparkling gems and sparkling clear droplets. Love those. And that's going to complete this card. I like the way this one came out too. For my third card, I decided I wanted to use some of the pattern paper, but I also wanted to make a brighter card because I felt like all the cards were kind of darker, so I made myself a couple of panels. And I made the first one with the picked raspberry, and then I splattered it with white paint. And then the second one I just made with the cracked pistachio and used water on it to give it a little bit of texture. And then this piece here is just a little leftover piece from my first card. And I'm using brown acorn ink. Actually, that's not brown acorn, I'm sorry. That one is probably vintage photo. Now this is what I mean by needing to make these stems and leaves go in different directions, because I wanted a bouquet. And so detaching that stem from that flower really helped, because I was able to kind of turn them in the directions that I wanted them in to make a bouquet of flowers with just one stem. So now I'm going to stamp down my sentiment, and this time I am using the brown acorn, and it's a Hero Arts ink, because it just stamped out much better for my sentiment. And now I'm going to arrange my flowers in a little bouquet, kind of coming off of the side there. Just kind of placing them kind of hanging over the edge a little bit. I'm also going to use some natural twine and make a bow, and that's going to go kind of in the middle of the stems there. I cut off the leaf so that one of them would be, that the two little leaves would be facing off of the other side. And then I will pop up my center flower. And I need to just trim off the little pieces that are hanging over, and I will add my twine bow right there in the middle. I just glued it on, so it just takes a few seconds to adhere. Now I'm going to add some of the sparkling gems. These are kind of faceted, so they really sparkle. Like when you hit the light just right, because they've got tons of little like facets on the bottom, they sparkle a lot. Now I'm going to add some more of my diamond stickles to the middle, because I need even more sparkle. And then that, I think, is going to do it for this one. Here's my third card. Now for my fourth card, this one was was kind of an experiment, because I wanted to see what you could paint with. So I used some black cardstock and my embossing ink. I'm going to use gold embossing powder for this one. It's just an antique gold. I can't remember which one. I want to say it's a Recollections antique gold. So I wanted to see if you could paint with these things. So I've got some embellishment mousses. I've got the squid ink, the gold squid ink, and then this other one's called Silk Luster, and it's a Spellbinders. And I wasn't really sure if I could paint with any of them, so I just kind of gave it a try. I'm also using, for the green, I'm using the Distress Oxide ink in peeled paint for the leaves. This one was kind of fun to do because I was kind of playing around with different mediums just to see what actually would work on black cardstock. And that's the embellishment mousse. I wasn't sure if you could paint with it, but I figured I'd give it a try. And I kind of like the way that when it dries, it's got a real neat look to it. So this is the squid ink, the gold squid ink. And I did not water it down. I think if I had watered it down, it might have been a little bit better. But one of the mistakes that I made afterwards was I wanted to kind of buff out the embossing powder so that you could see it better, and it wasn't quite dry yet. So I smudged some of the gold squid ink outside of the lines, but you can't really tell that much. I don't know if you can see it at all right there, but it's right above that flower. I'm trying to point it out to you to show you that. Wait for it to dry all the way before you do that. I also used the raised up gold letters to put a hello, and then I embossed with that same gold embossing powder a little sentiment right underneath the hello. I also added some of the dots all around it those are with the gold embossing powder, and a white gel pen just to give it a little bit more interest, and that finishes off that card. And for my last card, I want to do something simple, but I really wanted to use the pattern paper. So I took some of the cream colored cardstock, and I think that's the rose. I want to say it's not the gold one, it's the other one of the shiny paper. I don't know what to call it. And then a real pretty floral pattern paper. And then I embossed with that. I used again the copper blush embossing powder for You Couldn't Be More Awesome, and I put it on just a vellum strip, which I'm going to attach right over the front. And this was just to do something fun and quick. I didn't want to do any more painting or do any more huge embossing projects, so I just took, this is a very simple card to do. It took me only a couple minutes. I'm going to add just a few of the sparkling clear droplets just to give it just a little bit more, and that will complete that card. Super fast and very easy to do, but I think it looks really pretty and elegant, especially with that paper. So I'm going to run through all 5 cards again and just let you guys know I really do appreciate you stopping by. I hope this gave you a few more ideas. I know it's not 10 cards, and hopefully next month I will be able to get 10 cards out for you because I will have all of that other extra stuff done. But again, thank you so much for stopping by. I really do appreciate it, and I will see you again next time with more videos from Simon Says and Cat Scrappiness and La La Land, and you name it, I'm going to have it. So see you again soon. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.